Winters, the Pure Health Show, is brought to you by Mulberry Love. I love my Mulberry Love.
I'm just doing my thing, doing my thing. Oh, you keep hanging. I'm just doing my thing. Oh, you keep hanging.
So I give you solutions, not just here's the problem, but I give you solutions.
I'm just doing my 6 in the morning. Yeah, I'm on my dough. And I ain't gonna
And that's why I wrote the book. It took me, it's about 37 to 40 years of research.
now I'm flourishing, life's an excursion. If you get it.
When you isolate a vitamin from its whole food form, it becomes nothing more than an isolated chemical, and your body actually has to work harder to break it down to its molecular structure.
Feeling so good, so good.
Welcome everybody to Get Healthy the Winters Way. I am SHARYN Winters, and I am so glad to be with you here today. We're going to talk about Chapter 7 of my book on personal care products, and I've got an expert, and I'm so excited to have her here with me today. She flew in from San Francisco?
Yes.
San Francisco, yeah. An old friend of mine, Stacy Malkan, and for over a decade, Stacy has worked with leading environmental groups on campaigns to move the market to safer products. She's the author of the award-winning book, Not Just a Pretty Face, The Ugly Side of the Beauty Industry, and co-founder of the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics. It's a coalition of nonprofit health and environmental groups that is shifting the $60 billion beauty industry away from harmful chemicals. Stacy has been named one of the 7 powerful women in the natural beauty industry by New Hope 360. Stacy's appeared on Good Morning America, CBS Morning Show, Democracy Now!, Fran Drescher's Tawk show, which is where we met, NBC, ABC. She's all over the place and spreading the word. She's appeared in several documentary films, including The Human Experiment, Unacceptable Levels, and Pink Skies. Stacy.
Thank you so much for having me, SHARYN. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here that we can just talk about this subject, because it's one of my favorite subjects is makeup and skincare. And, I've known about it for years, and it's been, when I found out about it, there wasn't a lot of safe cosmetics that I could find.
Right.
And now it's really a blessing. Of what's going on, because people like you have made people conscious, and there are conscious companies popping up all over the place, having safer not only skincare but makeup and lipsticks that don't have lead in it, and dead animals in it, and it's incredible. But I want to ask you something. How did you get started in all this? What was your aha moment that said, "Oh my God, I got to do something about this. I need to do something"? What was that moment in your life like?
Well, for me, it was really a journey. It was a long process. I wrote in my book about how I was crazy about 17 magazine back when I was in high school, and I spent so much time at the Osco drug cosmetics aisle. That was my local drugstore, looking at all the products and really searching for those products that were going to make me, the lovable, confident version of myself. I really sort of believed in that dream.
Right.
So I spent lots of time, in the morning getting ready, and probably 20 products a day, which is pretty typical for teenagers, boys and girls these days. But I never thought at all about what was in those products. Nobody ever talked about things in those days.
We don't talk about that.
Now
and people don't even read
it.
the labels. It's like, how many of you out there read on your toothpaste? Warning, keep out of reach of children. If you accidentally swallow more than used for brushing, contact a poison control center immediately. So they're telling you right there on your toothpaste that every time you brush your teeth, you're putting poison in your body.
And once you
we don't pay attention. It doesn't mean anything. It means something. Everything means something.
I think that once you start, though, noticing those things, and it's true, like warnings on toothpaste or kids' bubble bath, don't leave in extended contact may cause urinary tract infections, is a warning on many bubble baths. But for me, as I was saying, it was a journey of starting to look at labels, but I was also working with environmental groups at the time that were really looking at some of the health effects of chemicals that we're being exposed to every day, and what the science has been saying over the last about 2 decades, showing that some chemicals can act like hormones and really disrupt the normal development process.
Also known as hormone disruptors.
Yes, and so we were looking at a particular chemical called phthalates, which is a long body of science showing that it can interfere with the reproductive health of men and the normal development of the reproductive tract.
Right.
So we found in early 2000 that women had much higher levels of phthalates in their bodies than men. So nobody knew why, so we decided to look at cosmetics.
Right.
And we sent a whole bunch of products to a lab to test them, shampoos, hairspray, creams, everything. And most of them had phthalates in the products, but not on the label.
And so it's not on the label. So somebody picks up a brand name and they look at it and they go, oh, there's no phthalates in here.
Right. Yeah.
But there are.
Because they're hiding.
They're hiding.
In the fragrance.
Right.
And an interesting thing, too, was that, now I mentioned that the chemicals impact male reproductive health, and so many people actually said when we reported these findings, if these chemicals impact males, why do we have to care if they're in products used by women? And you have to explain, well, because males start their lives in the bodies of women, which is actually when they're most vulnerable to interference with their hormone systems.
Right.
And so when we released this report, we actually had a full-page ad in the New York Times, and it was a photo of a pregnant woman, and the caption was, "Sexy for her, but for baby, it may really be poison." And
Awesome.
the bottle was
What year
actually
was
poison
this?
perfume. So this was 2002. And it was a bottle of poison, you know, that perfume. They like that name. We thought it was ironic. It was actually the product that we found the most phthalates in. And the Times made
you
us
mean the perfume
airbrush
poison?
Yeah, that's the brand name.
Well,
They made us
at least
airbrush it off,
they were
but
honest.
People knew because it's such an iconic bottle. Like, oh, that's poison. So it caused quite a splash in the industry at the time.
That's amazing. And we don't realize. It's like, we get up in the morning and we brush our teeth. Okay, poison number 1. Then we wash our hair. Poisons. There's so many different poisons in shampoo. And then we put conditioner on and the soap that we're using. Then you put some cream on. And then and then, ladies, you start your makeup and your moisturizers and your skincare and your mascaras and your lipsticks and your it's like everything that I put on today. But, I've learned to get products that are non-toxic.
And
But
there are. That's the good news.
Yes, there are. And there's a website that you can go to called Safe Products. Is it safecosmetics.org?
Yes, safecosmetics.org.
.org, yes. But also in my book on chapter 7, I just want to I go into so many of this stuff about the cosmetic industry, and I start mentioning, ammonium lauryl sulfate, benzene, and I explain to you BHA and BHT and the cetareth family. Is that right? Cetareth family, and I mean I can't even pronounce them, let alone colorings, DEAs and dioxine and EDTAs. And fragrances, which is an interesting one, because when a product tells you it has fragrances, you have no idea what that's made up of.
Right. And that's why the phthalates were in these products but not on the label, because they were hiding in the fragrance.
Right,
it's a very
in the
common
fragrance
ingredient.
Incredible. So in the we get paraben families, but you know what's incredible to me? The sodium lauryl sulfates and the sodium lauryl sulfates and the toluene, and they tell you, years ago, if you're pregnant women don't use toluene on your nail polish because it goes right through to the placenta, and how many women don't know that?
Right, and how many women work in nail salons that are pregnant or maybe want to become pregnant?
Absolutely, and then we wonder why the statistics are 1 in 35 or 1 in 55 children have autisms. Vaccinations are just a part of it. But it's all this other stuff that we're living in this world today that is really concerning.
Yeah, and of course, children's health trends are really worrying, and autism, asthma, cancers, food allergies, all sorts of things that kids are going through.
Asperger's,
and I think there's a
the
growing
neurological,
realization.
the neurological disorders too.
Yeah, the ADHD.
Right.
I think there's a growing realization that it's important to protect kids from a lot of these toxins. But one of the things we've spent years pointing out is if you want to protect children, we have to protect women of childbearing age who are pregnant, who may someday want to become pregnant, which means we have to get these chemicals out of commerce.
Right.
We need to keep them away from everyone.
Right. It's like my son just got married to this beautiful lady, Corinne.
It's exciting.
Oh, I can't wait. We had dinner last night, and they're talking about getting pregnant. And, she's talking about getting
exciting.
pregnant. He's right there on the same page, and I've got some concerns because it wasn't like that, and I was pretty aware when I was pregnant with my children, but I didn't know about chemtrails and GMO food. I mean, we're sitting at the restaurant and we're going. I happened to take them to a healthy restaurant because they're both health conscious, right? So it was a great restaurant, and what foods aren't GMO? What foods have gluten in it? There's such a narrow list of foods that we can eat today that's even healthy.
Yeah, it's true.
It's so sad what we've done. This generation has done that's going to cause such an effect on our future generations.
I think that's right, but I think people are starting to wake up to it and really say solutions, like you were saying.
Right.
Let's get to the solutions, because we do have the power to change this, and that's really my message, is that we have so much power because we get to decide which products we put on our bodies, which companies we trust with our money.
We need to start screaming this out, not being so polite about it, because this is an emergency. This is not something we are destroying our planet unless we start really taking command of, I don't want to put this in my body. I don't want to put this on my face. I don't want to put this on my hair. And we need to say, because obviously there are products that you can use that work just as good, that aren't toxic to the human body.
Right.
So tell me about your book. You got to hold your book up.
My book's
is that my
just a
copy?
pretty face, yes, of course. And I have, I have some fun things in here, like the ads that we ran. And so the book came out in 2007. That was the one I was talking about earlier with the pregnant lady and the poison perfume. They did reformulate that, by the way, and actually a really good news.
So why couldn't they do that in the beginning?
Well, it took calling them out on it and in a very public way, and that's what we found with all the companies, is that we've been at this now for 10 years, over 10 years, and there has been a lot of public pressure. We've really seen demand increasing for natural and clean products. The companies are paying attention, and they are starting to make changes. So that's the good news. But it has taken some rattling cages. Like you said, some time to stop being polite activities.
So what are we being so polite about? This is our health. This is our future. This is our next generation. We need to make a difference here.
Yeah, and we are. And it's slow, though. But I think it's a really exciting time because people are waking up and they're demanding change. And I think women especially are really seeing what's going on. Women are buying most of the products, 85% of products.
And my next chapter is on baby products. Oh, my.
It's pretty crazy. The plastics, the dyes, the perfumes.
The bubble bath, the shampoos.
Perfume.
What?
Baby perfume.
Insane.
It isn't. That's truly insane.
It's sucking on pacifiers that are plastic. Putting that in our bodies. It's incredible. So
the book came out in 2007, and it looked at the first years of starting the campaign for safe cosmetics and the research that we did. And when we first started this in 2002 was our first project with the phthalates. And then there was so much interest in that. And we realized nobody was really doing research into the cosmetics industry and making it public, making it easy for consumers to do their own research. And so that's what we took on. And I have a chapter in the book about the Skin Deep database, which was built by a woman at Environmental Working Group. And I have a lot of sheroes in my book, so it was
I like that.
really
Not
a small
heroes,
group of women.
sheroes.
Yeah, a small group of women saying, like, we're going to take this on. Right. And so Jane Houlihan realized there was no way for consumers to go online and research the safety of cosmetics. And so the only way was to buy a book from the cosmetics industry that cost $350. It was like this big, to find out what was even being used in cosmetics. So Jane takes this book on the plane with her. She was flipping through it, and she gets this idea that she could put this all into a database. All the information to make it publicly accessible. So she went on a quest. It took several years to put together all the best science she could find about ingredients, and then all the ingredients she could find in cosmetics. They now have almost 80,000 products that you can search them, and it ranks products from 0 to 10, with 10 being most toxic, 0 being the best. And you can see all the different scientific judgments on that chemical and the product. It's incredible. Nothing else like it exists. Even the government doesn't have its own databases compiled in a searchable way.
And that's safecosmetics.org.
Safecosmetics.org.
So, ladies,
/skindeep.
Gentlemen, because you're using them too, colognes and toothpaste and hairsprays and all that.
Yeah.
Take one of your products and go to safecosmetics.org. Check it out. See what you're putting on. And that's just one thing. One thing. Can you imagine using all the different things that you do in a day, and a little bit goes in here and a little bit goes there, and we wonder why there's so much diseases today like never before? Why 1 in 2 people now are going to get some form of cancer? These are the reasons. These are exactly the reasons why the statistics are going up and up. And now with what's going on with Fukushima, what's going on with GMO, I mean, we're like sitting ducks unless we take action. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more with Stacy. This is fascinating. I'm loving this. So we'll be right back.
SHARYN Winters, the Pure Health Show, is brought to you by Mulberry Love. I love my Mulberry Love.
It's not what you hope, 'cause I just have to let you go. And let you know, girl, I know it's worth waiting for, but I just have to let you go. Not saying I don't love you, I do. All of us think, but you're thinking I'm through. But I swear that I'll change, you wouldn't know, 'cause you treat me the same. And I'll be all over things, but to think that that's me. Life shipping right by easy. Needed you to know that it's hard to let you go. Said it and I said it before. Needed you to see that it's hard to let you leave. Life shaking right by easy. Girl, it's not what you hope, 'cause I just have to let you go.
We're back with Get Healthy the Winter's Way. I'm SHARYN Winters, author of The Pure Cure, A Complete Guide to Freeing Your Life of Dangerous Toxins. And my guest today is Stacy Malkan. And, God, there's so much I want to talk to you about. I need to have a drink of my Mulberry Love. Here's a great example.
Yes,
here's
good. I like it.
A great product called Mulberry Love. It's mulberry juice and coconut water combined. No chemicals, no toxins, and it's a safe product.
Yeah.
And it's drinkable and it tastes delicious. And so let me have a drink of that.
I love that. SHARYN, I was thinking just right before
that's great.
We broke, you were talking about that cancer statistic. 1 in 2 men, I think it's 1 in 3 women at this point, are going to get cancer at some point in our lives.
1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women in their lifetime.
And when I first heard that, I thought that can't be true. And I looked it up, and that's a government statistic.
Yeah.
It's a current statistic. It wasn't that way when our grandparents were born. And and there was actually just a report last week by the World Health Association organization. This was the World Cancer Report by WHO, saying that cancer rates are going to go up 57% in 20 years. And they were sounding the alarm. This is a conservative organization saying, this is a pending human disaster. We have to get serious about prevention. And that means getting carcinogens out of the environment, out of products we put on our bodies.
Which is why I wrote The Pure Cure.
Yes, and so much amazing, so much important information in there.
Yeah.
And really, I think when you start to go down this road, you realize it is everything. It's not just the cosmetics, it's the food. But
The
there are
chemtrails,
solutions.
that there were a bunch of chemtrails last night, and I'm like,
Oh no. He's coughing.
chemtrails, which is a subject I got to get into. I have a guest coming on in a couple of weeks. We're going to
well-
be talking about chemtrails, the existing, non-existing, if you know what I mean. But you also, I looked on your website, which is movethemarket.org,
Yes.
and you talk about the disappearance of the bees.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that about?
That's another indicator that we really need to start doing things differently than we've been doing them. I mean, I think we're seeing this in many ways through kids' health, these cancer rates. The bees are crashing populations around the world and so critical to our most important food crops. There's a lot of evidence pointing to pesticides called neonicotinoids that are confusing bees. They can't find their food system, making them more vulnerable to pests. So we got to take on the pesticide industry, and they're fighting really hard, to blame it on everything else but the chemicals.
Right. It's incredible.
But we did just have a victory there as well. One of my projects, I'm working with Friends of the Earth, and we did some protests on Valentine's Day week at Home Depot and Lowe's, asking them to stop selling bee-killing pesticides. And the theme was Bee Love.
Oh, I like
and
that.
So
Bee love.
we had hearts. We dressed up like bees. We went to Home Depots all around the country and said,
Make a
show
statement.
bees some love.
Show bees
And they
some
came
love.
out and said, we're going to take care of this. So it's going to take them some time, but I thought that was a really positive example that love works.
I
It's a
think
message.
we're basically all inherently good.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that we just need to tap into people's conscience of what's going on and what all of our parts are. And what am I contributing to what's my carbon footprint in here? It's like next week I'm finally getting solar.
All right.
I mean, I'm so happy about that because now I feel like I am being part of a solution, not being the cause of a problem.
Right. And it feels good to
Yeah,
make good
and
choices.
I'm also getting an
yeah.
electric car.
Oh, awesome. That's
So
good.
I'm off the grid. I am definitely getting
Right.
off the grid. But I mean, here's the thing. If they can make one electric car, 2 electric cars, then why isn't everybody doing electric cars? It's doable. So why are we still on the old system that causes so much problems
Yeah.
in every way?
Well, I think creating the new is part of what we're seeing happen. And I like to think about it in terms, and people always say, what can I do? Just tell me what products to avoid. And it's of course not that, it's not simple, but
Right, it's not that simple. It's
and
everything.
it's kind of overwhelming at first when you start to say it's everything. But, I think that if we start to, and I've seen this in so many women, that if you get through that overwhelm and you get to the point of realizing like, okay, I have the resources, I have access to the information, there's lots of people I can connect with who are working on this, and it actually is really fun and
Yeah,
empowering, and it feels
absolutely.
good.
Empowering. That's
And
it's
to make good choices,
Well, knowledge
to
is power.
reject what's
knowledge is
toxic.
definitely power. What?
Yeah, reject what's toxic. That's
Right.
first thing. Knowledge,
Right.
learn,
It's
research.
like we did a Fran Drescher video,
Yeah, that's where we met. Yes.
right, for trash cancer, and she has a charity called Trash Cancer, which came out of Cancer Schmancer,
Yeah.
Cancer schmancer. She's great. And there's a great example of somebody doing the work, letting people, taking her celebrity and making people aware of what is going on out there. Just go into underneath your sink and see how many chemicals you're using when, I have all these home remedies that you can use underneath your sink instead of using the products underneath your sink that you can make with a little borax soap and vinegar and some lemons. You can make anything, and it works just as well, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
If you don't want to buy the store ones that are making it. But you go to any health food store now and they have cosmetics, they have skincare, and if they're doing it, why isn't everybody else?
Yeah. Right.
Why do they have to wait till we find out there's all this lead in lipsticks? Why do we have to wait? Or they're making it with dead animals. Most people aren't aware of that a lot of the lipsticks and the skincare and the creams, they all have dead animals. So all these animal activists don't realize that after they kill these animals, they put they're rendering plants where they go to large factories and they get all the fat they can't use anymore from restaurants, and they take that fat and and then they mix that with the fat from animals and they boil them till the fat rises to the top, and that's what's in your lipsticks, that's what's in your shampoos, that's what's in your hand and body lotions, underarm deodorant.
Yeah, placenta is something that from animals that is sometimes used in hair
We're
products.
insane.
It's crazy.
Who's the people that come up with this stuff? Let's see. Let me get some dead animals. We'll make a lipstick. We'll put some lead. I mean, when you can do it naturally.
Well, I think a lot of people are going down that road too. Once you start to learn, get educated, say, I don't want to buy the toxic stuff, and then how do we create what we really want? And so make your own, grow your own, start your own companies. There's so many people are doing that.
People are.
And
It's
so there's
wonderful.
many beautiful local, if you can, companies to support. I think that's one of the truly most empowering and important things we can do.
Just like local farmers, we're supporting our local farmers who they're trying to get rid of, and we need to support our local farmers. I get all my stuff at the farmers market, almost all my stuff, and then I go to the health food store to get my other stuff, and I support. There's all these great companies, as you said, that are springing up that are environmentally friendly for our whole being.
Yeah, and really driven by values of wanting to create health.
And make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had enough. I don't want to use that anymore. Let's make some stuff that is good. So hopefully, with safecosmetics.org and your movethemarket.org, people will become educated so that it's time to make a difference, everybody. It's time that we step up our game here a bit and take responsibility for what we are creating on this planet and be responsible. We need to be responsible for what's going on here. And we're going to take a short break. I'm responsible for that. And we'll be right back with Get Healthy the Winter's Way.
Whenever you get lonely, I'm here. When times get harder, I'm here. So you can let down your guard, girl. I'm trying to be the other man. I'm trying to be your man.
We're back with Get Healthy the Winter's Way. I'm SHARYN Winters, and this show is based on my book, The Pure Cure, A Complete Guide to Freeing Your Life from Dangerous Toxins, 20 chapters of areas of concern and solutions at the end of each chapter and what you can do about it. And I am so grateful to have Stacy Malkan here, whose book is Not Just a Pretty Face, The Dark Side of...
The ugly side of the beauty industry.
The ugly side of the beauty industry. If you haven't gotten this book, you need to really look at this book. this will definitely be an eye opener. As this, it's fabulous. I'm excited. I can't wait to get into this, Stacy.
Thanks.
Thank you for stepping up to the plate here a little bit. But the first person who kind of stepped up to the plate was Horst Reckenbacher, right?
Yes, Horst Reckenbacher.
Tell me about him. He just died, didn't he?
He did. Horst just passed away a couple of weeks ago. It was it's very sad to hear that. He actually died of cancer. And he was a true pioneer in green salons and just the concept of safe cosmetics when he started Aveda, which was truly the first national salon that was trying to be environmentally conscious. And I interviewed Horst for my book, and he tells the story of how he sold Aveda to Estee Lauder because there were certain formulation challenges that he couldn't figure out, that the cosmetic chemist would tell him it can't be done.
Right.
We can't do a safe hair dye. We can't. And so he decided he wanted, to partner with someone who had more investment money to tackle these formulation challenges. And so he sold to Estee Lauder, and unfortunately that didn't happen. They really weren't willing to go there. They ended
Estee
up
Lauder
parting
owns
ways.
MAC too.
Right. And the Body Shop is owned by L'Oreal. Yeah, a lot of the very popular greener brands are owned by the big companies. And so, and I won't buy them because I feel that if Estee Lauder and L'Oreal already know how to make safe products for one brand, then they should do it across the board rather than just trying to, capture the niche market over here and keep using the toxins over here. So I want all those companies to step up to a higher standard.
Absolutely. I stopped using perfume, and I love perfume, and I had all my different favorite perfumes, but I know how toxic it is. And so I now use essential oils, and they smell so wonderful.
Right.
And
they just don't linger in the elevator when you leave, which is that's what the phthalates do in fragrance. They hold the scent to, beyond.
I have a friend, and he smokes, and he sprays all this cologne on him, and he thinks that the cologne is going to mask the smell of his smoke. Oh my God! It's like I have to step back. I don't even want to be around him, and because it's awful. The smell of all that cologne, which I used to love. Well,
it's true that once you get away from it, it becomes overpowering. And a lot of people are sensitized and sensitive to fragrance and might feel effects like headaches or confusion.
Becoming more and more as the immune system keeps getting compromised.
Right.
We become more susceptible to things that we weren't susceptible before. Hence, 1 in 2 people will get some form of cancer. 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women.
Yeah.
So sad. And we've got the solutions. We've got the solutions. It's right here. It's right here in the book. It's right here in your book. So
yeah, and it just takes, like we said, going through that initial phase of feeling like, oh, it's too much. But there's some simple things that you can do to find safe products.
So let's help our audience. What can we do?
So I think most importantly, simplify. So looking for products that have fewer chemicals, avoiding fragrance, at least reducing it, and using fewer products overall too. The companies love to make us think that we need a different lotion for every part of the body or a different cleaning product for every room in the house, when you could just buy one very high quality non-toxic lotion, make your own cleaning products, things like air freshener, no need to be spraying chemicals around the home. So if you really
and getting
look
into
at
your
what's
lungs.
being used in the home, there are a lot of easy ways to just reduce the chemical exposures we're having every day.
Right. I think underarm deodorant is another thing that
very close to your breast tissue is sensitive, highly absorptive.
Antiperspirants. I mean, look what we're doing. We're forcing somebody to stop sweating.
Which blocks in the toxins.
Goes right into your lymph problems. I mean, there's another reason why breast cancer. I mean, we're meant to sweat. So sweat. And if you smell, maybe you need to check out what you're eating instead of covering up we're a Band-Aid society.
The same thing goes
We
with
are a
skin
Band-Aid
problems
society.
for teens. they want to cover it up with more makeup or chemicals when it's likely to be food. Eating
Related.
whole foods, drinking water is really the best thing you can do for your skin.
Electrolytes in it. Yeah, well, the whole industry, it's so youth oriented. I watched the Academy Awards on Sunday. Did you watch them?
I didn't.
Oh, I watched them. And I was just, it was all beautiful in this. And then Kim Novak came out. And Kim Novak is a 81-year-old actress who, she's old Hollywood. And nobody stood up for her. I went, oh my God, she's 81 years old. And the Twitter came out the next day making fun of her, and I just felt so bad, whatever. She was such an icon in the film industry. And I thought, oh, how sad is it? We're all going to get old, whether we like it or not. We're not getting out of this world alive, and we're all hopefully going to get old. And how we treat our elders is with such a disrespect. And there's so much emphasis that's put on youth and beauty, and there's so much pressure put on us.
Yeah.
We got to look right, and we, gotta, you pick up
Absolutely.
a Vogue magazine or any magazine, and it's all young people and the makeup, and they're thin, and not only makeup, but how you have to be thin and,
Well, one of I do a lot of talks about safe cosmetics, and I talk to a lot of young people, and I always point out some visual examples of what they're doing with airbrushing. Because, yes, the people are young and thin, but they're not that young or thin.
Right.
As we're looking at them in the magazines, it's incredible. And I actually have in my book some comments from someone who does this job, digital retouching they call it, and he talks about, they're not going to change obvious things like red eyes, but we're making 30, 40, 50 changes in a photo, changing the shape of faces, shaving off pounds, enhancing skin tone.
Right.
Just
Did you see that
many
video that
things.
went around about the blonde? She was like laying on her side, and it was a picture, and then in like 30 seconds, they showed you the end result, the vision.
Yes.
Was that
It's
incredible?
not a person that you're looking at. It's a computer-generated
Right.
image. And they also had one, this was part of the Dove campaign, which they're doing some good commercials. The Real Beauty campaign, I do like that because I think it really raises some of these issues. But one of them was, regular women, which were all regular-looking women, talking about how they always dreamed of being cover girls or this or that was wrong with them. Well, they made them up and they photo retouched them, and the women were looking at their own images as the cover model and saying, like, that's not even me.
Right.
And why do I want to be projected as not me?
Right.
It was very uncomfortable for them to actually achieve what they thought was the ideal.
Right. Well, we put such an emphasis on it, and it's really hard for women.
It is. And so I think it's helpful to talk about it, and especially with young girls, and to see that kind of veil go up, that what the messages that we're getting, they're just not real. It's all geared to make us want to buy things and feel that we're not good enough. But the truth is we are
And
good enough,
accepted.
and we have a lot of power.
Right.
And we're starting to use it. And that's what's exciting to me in this work.
And to be accepted, you have to look a certain way and be a certain way. Oh God, we as human beings, the human spirit has to go through so much. I'm real concerned about, because I was bullied. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, sometimes,
yeah,
yes.
I was bullied as a kid, and so I'm real sensitive to that, and I see all these kids that are being bullied, and I just feel so bad.
And these days with the internet, I mean, it was nothing back when we
right.
were coming up.
Oh my
We
God,
had none of
social
that.
social
You can't
media.
even imagine what kids
Can you
go
imagine?
through. No, it's tough. You have to be strong.
Yeah, but how
in
do you
this
get
world.
that? How do you have to be strong? What does that mean? What does that even
What
mean?
does that even mean? Well, one
How
thing
does
that
one become
gives me
strong?
hope is that the young people today, they know so much more than we ever knew because there's so much access to information and what's real. And I think there is a revolution happening in the younger
There
generation.
definitely is. Because I go to all these health restaurants, and either it's raw food or it's vegan, vegetarian restaurants. The whole place, 98% was all young, in their 20s and in their 30s. It's like the restaurant I went to last night. Oh my God, I was like, I think I was the oldest person there. I brought my kids, I just looked around and I went, oh my God, it's so great to see this. And it's so great to know that people are creating restaurants that have a conscience, that have a consciousness about the quality of food that you want to put into your body.
Yeah.
I choose not to put in GMO food in my body. So, but I like going out to nice restaurants. Thank you that there's such nice places out there that are popping up all over the place that that's happening.
Yeah. Oh, I have a good story about GMOs. My cousin is a school teacher in LA. She teaches kindergarten. And the students decided they wanted to do a project on no GMOs. She said, I didn't suggest this to them. They came up with it on their own.
Isn't that interesting?
So,
how old?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
So they're thinking about very young. And kids, kids are why we took on recycling as a society. Kids can see things much more clearly than adults sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
so I find great hope in that.
I do too. The younger generation, it's like, sorry, I apologize. We've created this mess, and we need to be responsible on making a difference. So what's my part? We each need to say, okay, what can I do? What's my part? How can I help? How can I serve? How can I make this place a better place? Because, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And
I think whatever you're doing.
When I leave, have I made a dent? Have I made this place a better place to live?
Yeah.
That's what I want to be remembered for.
Yeah. And I think people, wherever you are in life, whatever you're doing, there's a way to participate and be part of the solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's just one thing, everybody, just look at your toothpaste. I guarantee you, if you're using a commercial brand of toothpaste, it says it. So I have a non-toxic toothpaste on my website. You can go to my website, www.wintersway.com. Email me. I can tell you what toothpaste you can get that doesn't say, warning, keep out of reach of children. If you accidentally swallow more than used for brushing, contact a poison control center immediately.
Yeah, that's a clue.
I remember. It's funny. I remember as a years ago. I was giving one of my health seminars. My kids were really small, so maybe it was 14, 15 years ago, and so I asked my older son if he would help me do a couple of demos. Because I would demonstrate a toothpaste and explain it, and. He said, sure. So I remember he went to the whiteboard, and he put a phone number, and I go, what is he doing? So he comes up there, and he starts saying, he says, I want everybody to write this number down, because this is the number of the Poison Control Center. So if you're using if you're using, a toothpaste that has it, here, you might just want to call the center right now and have this number on hand. I went, how inventive, how creative is that?
They won't forget it.
That's right. Oh my God, really. Here it is, right in front of your face. It's incredible. So where are you at now? What's your next step? Oh, let's take a short break before we get into that.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Stacy Malkan and Get Healthy the Winters Way.
SHARYN Winters, the Pure Health Show, is brought to you by Mulberry Love. I love my Mulberry Love.
You get lonely, I'm here. When times get harder, I'm here. So you can let down your guard, girl, I'm here. Trying to be the other man, I'm trying to be your man.
We're back with Get Healthy the Winters Way. I am SHARYN Winters, And this show is based on my book, The Pure Cure, A Complete Guide to Freeing Your Life of Dangerous Toxins. And if you haven't gotten it yet, now is the time. It is now. Please go to my website, www.wintersway.com, WYNTERSWAY, and get yourself a book and get one for somebody that you care about as a gift, and I will autograph it for you. So please go and let's start making this happen. It's a grassroots thing. We've got to move through this to let everybody know what you're putting in your body, on your body, and around your body. Let's change it from a toxic environment to a non-toxic environment. It can be done. It's easy, and it can be a lot more cost-effective doing it that way than what you're already doing. And my guest today is the fabulous Stacy Malkan, whose book is, I have to hold it up again. Let me hold it up. I love the cover of this book. Not Just a Pretty Face, The Truth About Cosmetics and Their Safety, the ugly side of the beauty industry. So, and how can they get your book?
You can get my book online at Amazon.com or also on my website, which is movethemarket.org.
Movethemarket.org.
Yes.
Yeah, go to her website. It's fabulous. I briefly looked at it yesterday, and I went,
Yeah, it's new.
Oh,
I just launched it.
you just did?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
because you had
excited
another
about it.
website, right?
I did. I had a blog for a long time, not just at prettyface.org, which is still up. A lot of blogging I've done over the years on cosmetics. But I wanted a new website for my new ventures, so movethemarket.org. And I'm working with nonprofits on different campaigns to campaigns that I think really are hitting on the central issues of what is motivating people and what we need to take on, like the pesticides that are hurting bees, GMOs. I think it's really important that we get GMO labeling.
That's a big step.
And
They're
also safe cosmetics.
They're doing, a friend of mine is involved in that in Colorado.
Yeah, they may have a ballot initiative in Colorado,
Yeah,
also Oregon.
She's working on that.
We have a new bill in California just introduced a couple of weeks ago.
Tell me about that.
So it's SB 1381, Senator Noreen Evans just introduced, and it will have a committee hearing probably in a month, so early April. So check out getting involved in that effort because we really need all voices to come forward.
How does that work if the proposition was it 35?
Proposition 37,
37
yes.
was
was narrowly defeated after a $47 million, very dirty, tricks-filled campaign.
Right.
But 6 million Californians voted for it. Huge numbers of young people, Latinos, Asian, African Americans. Very interesting to see how the populations shifted out on that.
Right.
But it was very close, and SB 1381 is a new bill that is the difference between the bill is it's going through the legislature, not to the voters. So Prop 37 went to the voters, narrowly lost, but this new bill will be voted on by our legislators. So we've got to lobby. Probably early April will be the first committee hearing. And we'll find out, which committees and kind of who's on those committees. Will be having lots of meetings and sending letters.
So here's something you can all do. Get involved.
Yes, get involved.
Absolutely get involved.
Lobby your legislator. Tell them it's really important that we have the right to know what's in our food. That's what Californians want. It was very interesting, the polling on Prop 37. It was very consistent the whole spring, summer, fall. 67% of people in California said we want GMO labeling. It was narrowly lost, but right after the election, again, 67% of people said we want it. So we can actually show through polling that 28% around of people who voted against it actually wanted it. They just thought, they've not that bill, but that was, of course, the opposition's advertising.
Well, there was a lot behind that, and
Yes.
and the voting also on that was a little iffy.
Well, yeah, that's always a question. But, actually what happened was we won on Election Day, and we lost it in the early vote, that first 10 days of voting, which is often older voters, more conservative voters.
Yeah, and
we lost, but barely. And I think that
Yeah.
now we have a real chance to get it
Right.
through the legislature
And-
because
and-
people
and-
want it.
Right, and we have people. Marianne Williamson is running for Congress.
Isn't that
she
wonderful?
was on my show.
Now that's
Yeah.
she's a wonderful example of leading with love.
There
I've
you
learned
go.
so much from her. Yeah.
She's great. She was on a couple of weeks ago. That's a great show for everybody to watch. And, she's going to have a different conversation in Congress. And things are working in her favor. Thank you.
Isn't that incredible? I
Waxman
met her
retired
once many
after-
years ago, and she was doing a lobby day in D.C. for the Department of Peace, which was Dennis Kucinich's bill for
Right.
many years. And so she brought hundreds of women from around the country who had never lobbied before
Right.
to go and talk to their congressman about the Department of Peace, which is a concept that D.C. just is not ready for. But yet people were pushing it forward. It was one of the most
she's
inspiring
a trailblazer,
things
man.
I've ever done.
yeah,
4 years in D.C., that was my inspiring peak, was watching how just speaking the truth felt so empowering. And you could see the legislators. We actually met with Chris Van Holland, the senator, the rep from Maryland, and you could sort of see him thinking, like, I wish I could support that.
Well, as you know, if we can get corporations not funding politicians, we'll have a different type of politics
I
going
think
on.
that's absolutely
and that's
right.
what she's running on the independent party,
Yeah.
and she will not take money from corporations. So that's another thing you can do if you want to make a difference. She's asking if everybody just sent her $5. You go to MarianneWilliamsonForCongress.com and help support her and what
Yeah.
she's wanting to do.
That's wonderful because I think, when we talk about buying safe products, and there's many ways you can reduce the toxins in your home, but it's also really important to say that we can't just shop our way out of these problems. We have to take on politics. We have to get money out of politics and take back our democracy because the majority of people of all political persuasions want a safe and healthy environment. They want healthy kids. They want safe products.
Right.
They think that's what they're already getting. And so we can do this,
Yeah, we
but
can.
we have to step into the political arena
Yeah.
and support people like Marianne, run
Right.
for office ourselves, lobby,
Get
vote.
more and more women in
Yeah.
office.
I think that would make a big difference.
Excuse me. She had an event, was it last year? Sister Giant.
I like
It
that.
was amazing. It was probably one of the best events I've ever been to. But it was a very political event, and the whole point was to get, I guess that was her aha moment.
Hmm.
And she was asking for women to get involved in politics, and she must have said, well, what am I doing? And I think that was the start of her wanting to get involved. Yeah, she's she talks about, this country, it's of the people, by the people, and for the people. And she says not of a few of the people, of, that.
Of
And I
formed by
say,
the corporations.
right, I say it's not of a few of the corporations, by the corporations, and for the corporations. That's not how it was stated. So now we're having more and more awareness, and people like Marianne, and leading the way for all of us to get involved. So just a thought today, how can you get involved out there? How can you get involved? What can you do to make a difference? Just as even small, even if it's taking one thing and saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to use toothpaste that is a drug, or I'm going to get a shampoo that doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate in it. And more salons are stepping up to the plate. It's interesting because whenever I would go to the salon, I would say, I'd bring my own shampoo and I'd say, can you use it, the sodium lauryl sulfate free shampoo? And now they're all saying, well, so we only use that. So it is happening. It is more and more people are becoming conscious in many different areas and ways.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's a beautiful story of a woman in Oakland who had cancer in her family. Sister lost a baby. She decided she was going to take on opening a green salon. She wasn't going to use these chemicals, do these treatments. People told her she was crazy. And she had a line of people around the corner wanting to get into her salon.
They're popping up
and now
all
she
over the
just
place.
opened another one. So
They're
that's
popping
great.
up all over the place.
It's happening. And I wanted to also answer your question and take your challenge about one thing I can do. I'm inspired today, now. I'm going to donate to Marianne Williamson's
Oh,
campaign
thank you,
today,
thank you.
$100. So that's my pledge
Oh,
for
thank
one
you.
thing I'm going to do today.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
thank
great.
you for telling me,
Yeah,
reminding me
Stace-
about that, because
yeah.
that makes me feel good. That's money that's fun to spend.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you're donating to something good,
Yeah, that feels good.
doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It's fun. It
I
was
wish
fun.
I wish you were here. We'd go down. She still speaks on Monday nights.
I'll catch her one of these days.
Yeah, she's great, and I'm glad she's running, because I think she's going to have a different conversation when she gets elected.
Mm-hmm. All
When
right.
we're putting that out there. So, we only have a couple minutes left. What do you think you'd want to leave the audience with?
I want to leave the audience and the world with one of my assignments in life is just to talk about ways we can take our power to create the world that we want to live in. I think that's really what we're talking about here, is actions that we can take not against something or things that we don't like, even though that's part of it. Rejecting what's no longer working is part of it. But thinking about how do we create what we love and support other people who are doing the same. And I think that the answers are coming into being. And it's not going to be hard as it seems, because really in some ways we're talking about needing to change the way we do everything.
Right.
But that's a huge opportunity. So I like to see it that way.
Yeah.
And my hope for all, connect up with us. Safecosmetics.org is a great way to connect with others who are thinking about safe cosmetics. And also you can find out more about my work at movethemarket.org.
Thank you, Stacy, so much.
Thank you, SHARYN, for having me and for your book and for all the work that you're doing. It's incredible.
We're all doing our thing. I'm just doing my thing as my son's music. The theme
I
of
love your son's music.
Isn't
I
it
wanted
great?
to say that too. I really
Yeah.
like it.
I said, give me a theme. Give me a theme. So he just came up with, I'm just doing my thing, and that's what we're doing. We're just
That's
all doing
beautiful.
our thing. And thank you to Mulberry Love. I just love
Yummy.
Mulberry
I do
Love.
too.
Is this stuff great or what? Organic mulberry juice with organic coconut water.
Love
a
it.
conscious product. Here's to a conscious product, and I love Mulberry Love. So this is SHARYN Winters saying, be healthy, be wise, get yourself a copy of The Pure Cure, and to your health, namaste.
SHARYN Winters, The Pure Health Show, is brought to you by Mulberry Love. I love my Mulberry Love.